came down to Chikrin, Ekholm, I think Gavrikov. They were going to get one of those guys. There's no way they weren't going to get a defenseman. I
But
think losing Barry was fine because he's not a defensive defenseman anyways. That's what they need. I
Yeah.
think Ekholm fits that bill. I'm just wondering if they're going to add another guy now, another more like a third pairing D man. Because
Well,
their
they're
defense
weak on the right side now, right? Like that's
oh,
the only thing.
you want
So
Hull?
sure, give it to them.
Hi, and welcome to the show. This episode, we discuss the NHL trade deadline and give our takes on the many deals that took place this week. We also focus our discussion on the Leafs and try to understand how this change in philosophy took place in front of our eyes. And lastly, we discuss the playoff race in the Eastern Conference, which is shaping up to be quite a battle to squeeze into those last two wildcard spots. Will New Jersey be able to extend Timo Meier and add him to an already youthful and skilled core? Did Tampa Bay give up too much for a bottom six role player, or are they just one step ahead of everybody else? Will this new look Leaf team be the start of a new beginning for this franchise, or will they be the victim of yet another first round exit? We're back and ready to share our views and opinions for anybody that wants to listen. So please, take a load off, relax, and welcome to Hockey for Fanatics.
Remember that series against Boston? The first year with Babcock coaching against Boston.
Yep,
Remember that?
yeah.
And they won Game 5. I think they won, I want to say 2-1 or something. I think Matthew scored and I can't remember the other goal. But anyway, I think it was Kapanen actually. um, when they won that game, I thought, holy shit, these guys might actually be on their way. Whether it's this year or the year after, you just had this hope.
Yeah.
I think those are the only two times. And then that Game 6, the next game when they lost, was when I knew there was a red flag. That was their moment to take that step, and they never did, and they never have.
Yeah, but those are like it's tough to write a team off. I know what you're saying, like when you have that chance. Like I've been where you've been before. Like I can remember feeling the same way when, for example, Montreal, I think it was against, so it was the year after they had won the cup, they played Boston and they had a chance to close it out in game 6 and they blew it. And that was like that feeling of oh shit, they're not going to win game 7, right? Like I know where you're what you're feeling. But since then, I have to admit, I've changed a little bit because it's like you really got, and maybe it's just because I don't know, call it playoff experience after seeing your team. Like I've seen the Habs blow a 2-0 series lead when they won both games on the road. Like it's happened more than once. So you really can't put anything in the bank, and it's like one game at a time. I know that's such a cliche, but it's the truth, right? So it's tough as a fan because you know your team, and it's like they're done. But I don't know. I'm looking at it through different eyes now, and I'm like it's just another game, right? Like you just got to win that next game.
I know what you're saying, but for me, it was like when your team is like the year prior, they had played Washington, and there was no pressure. They took them to 6. They actually had a lead in that series, and you thought, okay, you can see things developing.
Yeah,
But then the next year, that was you won Game 5 on the road. You're like, okay, maybe this team is for real. Like they're ready to take that next step,
right.
and they didn't. And it's like, okay, is there something you got to add to this team? And they never really did. Let's be honest. They just kept going with the same thing over and over
That's true.
until today, right? So
Crazy.
I don't know.
Until
Yeah,
today.
till today, and then I don't know. It's chemistry is important, and who knows what's gonna happen. I've never seen a team change this many players at a deadline.
At a
No way.
deadline, I mean, how many have they added though? They've added O'Reilly,
6,
Achari,
thirty
McCabe.
percent of the roster. Yeah. I don't know
Well,
if Gustafson's gonna play or not.
it
Shen.
might work in your favor. I know that sounds crazy, but the Leafs team was never really one that you would consider together anyway. You know,
That's a
that's
really good point.
it's true. Like they
They
never
didn't
really
have that identity. They didn't have that like
they didn't
team
stand up
chemistry
for they
almost.
didn't stand up for one another. You'd see so many guys like Tommaso said, look up at the sky. You know, like you're not really a
I'm
team. So
yeah, I'm sure the guys that they moved out were not guys that were close with the core. Put it that way. I
sure,
don't see
sure.
how Engvall was close to these guys, and I never saw it. I'm not saying they didn't like each other, but I don't think they were the type. I mean, you guys have been part of a team. When you're a team with all buddies, it's one thing, but these guys are not. They're just brought in, and then they got to
It's true.
kind of mess together, right?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of
Yeah,
and you see it more and more now. Like I was never like that. I always tried to maybe it's because when I played I was the captain, so I always tried to like get attached to everybody. Like there was never one guy in the room that I would say I wasn't close to, right? So,
Mm.
but I understand it's not I'm not playing in the NHL or anything, right? But that's just the way I would do it. It's like, okay, you got to find and I'm not saying I would like, get in anyone's face or anything like that, but I was playing for fun, but I wanted to have some type of connection with everybody, right? So, but in the NHL, you see it more and more where they have these cliques. They call them
it's
cliques,
true.
right? Yeah.
It's funny because I remember I told you I took the boys down to watch that outdoor practice a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed is Engvall and Sandin they were close. They were always around each other. So
Right. Yeah, sure.
like you said, you have your own little groups, right, within the group.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, it could be like it's like anything else. Like is the coach playing me enough or whatever and you start to get resentment or whatever. I'm not suggesting that's the case with these guys, but however these cliques form, right? Like it's like, oh, the coach favors this guy and not me, and no matter what I do I can't get on his good side or whatever. But I always like Engvall was always a guy that was used by Keefe. That's going to be the biggest thing for me with these acquisitions, uh, because it's going to put Keefe in a spot where he has not been a coach that has employed that type of muscle before. So I'm
Mm.
curious to see how he uses it. Like he didn't use it before. We've said it before in previous pods where he gets a guy that hits and the guy's not allowed to hit. Now all of a sudden he's got 4 or 5 guys that are more, let's just say, physical, physical first or whatever, right?
Yeah, they're finished their all their hits, like guys like
Yeah,
Kachari and Czar and all those guys. Lafferty, like they're not afraid to hit.
yeah. And
They're
even a
not
guy
gonna
like
lay out the
Shen.
biggest hit. Yeah, Shen, McCabe.
Like I don't know McCabe that well. I was looking at him. Like,
McCabe's a hitter.
does he hit? Yeah. Well,
Yeah, yeah.
He blocked shots. He's up there with Gio. I think he's second behind Gio or something. He's near the top. He's another shot blocker. Which, hey, what do we
You
always
never
say?
have enough shot
Sacrifice your body,
blockers.
right? No, exactly.
Shot blocking wins cups.
well, that's what it's gonna take, right? Like Giordano has found a way to bring it, even though the Leafs are a puck possession team, right? You still have opportunities to block that shot, so it's
Well,
good.
you
It's
hope
good.
that now he gets some rest. That guy, the poor guy, is almost 40. He's always huffing and puffing, which shows you he gives it all every
Yeah,
shift. He
he's
cannot
trying.
be playing. Yeah, he can't be playing 82 games.
No, no. And with the depth that they brought in now, like they can afford to let him sit a game or two, right?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, here he comes. Are you drunk or something, Tommaso? Like, what's going on?
Oh, he's 10 beers in. He can't believe it.
What's going on? You okay? They make
He's
another
still
trade? Is
celebrating.
Kerfoot gone now too?
Yeah.
He's going nowhere, Kerfoot. They love him. He can never have enough centermen, so I guess they're keeping him on. They love him.
Yeah, but do they healthy scratch him or they let him in the lineup? Because now Czar's
I
going to have
think
to sit for him?
I think Czar's gonna sit. But
Dude,
hey,
to me,
I
that's
don't know.
silly.
It creates competition, so
It
we'll
creates
see.
competition, yeah, but I mean, that fourth line looks so much better without him on it.
Yeah, but that means he's getting moved to the third line, right?
No,
Because
I was asking, would he be a healthy scratch? And Dave's saying no chance.
no, well, because they just traded Engvall, right? So someone's got to replace Engvall's spot on the third line, and that would be, as of right now, you would assume it'd be Kerfoot.
But see, the nice thing is like they've picked up guys that can kind of play more than one position. Like Achari can literally play left, right, or center.
Yeah.
Lafferty can play on the wing or center. I don't know. They got some movement that they can do, and then Kerfoot too. They could either have him at center, fourth line, or put him on a wing. They have options.
Well, that was everything like that was good about Kerfoot, right? That they called him Swiss Army knife, blah blah blah. Because he can be plugged in wherever you really need a winger or center if need be, and I think they've got like 6 now that can play center or wing. So that is no longer a big thing for Kushra. We have many guys that are as good, if not better, than him. So I think he's gone. I think it just doesn't make any sense. If he was getting paid 1.2 or 1.4, I'd say he stays, right? But for $3.5 million on this roster, on this current roster, the way that they've got it situated, it makes zero sense to have Kerfoot.
Yeah.
So I think you can use those cap dollars on this team allocated somewhere else that will be much greater. And not only that, like just listening to Sheldon Keefe talk today, like briefly he was saying how Doofus looked at the team, and even though they're a winning team, they addressed the fact that it required changes. It needed more competitiveness, physicalness, etc., etc. Those are all things that Kerfoot lacks. So I'm sure they see what we see. They can't be that blind.
No.
So I don't know. Maybe they keep him, like we've been joking around nonstop. That he's like a cockroach. He just refuses to die, and like who knows? You know, maybe he survives. But if it was me, you'd make all these moves. Like leaving him is just silly. It really is.
Yeah, man. So what a day. Crazy. Crazy day. Like, where do we even start here? Like, I was looking at these trades because the last time we spoke, it was after the Bruins deal, right?
Yep.
Was it after like the Orlov deal and everything? So,
We have a ton. We have the Kane deal to
it's
talk
just that's what I'm
about.
saying. Like, where do you want to start?
Like
Like, it's just
I
nuts.
say we start non-Leafs. Like let's talk about everyone else first,
All right, I have them
and
up.
then so that we're not going back and forth.
I have them up in front of me, but I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to name the ones that kind of stick out. Is that okay?
Yeah, the important ones.
All right, so let's go and say, well, do we want to talk about the Penguins and the Canadians trades too, or no?
Penguins.
The who?
Well, the
Did the,
Penguins,
did the Penguins make a trade that I don't know about?
yeah, they got rid of Kapanen
That
or
was
whatever.
waivers.
They lost him on waivers, right?
Oh,
Do you want to
nah.
comment?
No,
Forget it.
we'll
Whatever.
we'll skip that. We'll skip that because we'll wait for an
We'll
actual
wait for
trade to
what they're
happen.
gonna do with it. Okay. All
Yeah, and
right.
then we'll kind of evaluate their moves.
All right. So then there was Barbashev to the Knights, Golden Knights. Do we care? Like,
I think that's a good deal for them. I think that's very underrated. Barbashev's a good player. I think that's a sneaky deal for Vegas.
yeah, I like
But
the
it was
player
also
too.
good for the Blues because what's the guy that they got? Can't remember the guy's name. Zach Dean, is that it?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a nice little prospect. So it kind of works out both ways, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like Barbashev. He brings a rugged game, and he's not like the guy scored 26 goals a couple years ago, right? Like it's like
Hmm.
that was
Yeah.
a bit of an
Yeah.
anomaly for him. I don't think he's
Mhm.
that type of player, but I definitely think he's a 10 to 15 goal man, and he plays hard. Like I can remember watching highlights of this guy, and he just not a he's a very physical player. I remember standing out for me when I watched him play. So I mean, good for Vegas for getting him.
Yep. I
Um,
give it a B. I
ni-
graded it.
nice.
No, seriously, it's a good. I mean, they didn't give up a lot for him, right? And so he's
Yeah,
gonna fit in to that system. I like that pickup.
yeah.
I think
He won a
a
cup.
lot of teams were interested. Yeah, a lot of
It's
teams were
true.
interested in him, right? So
It's true.
Hmm.
he adds a good element to that team.
And
Yeah,
then
I
That
we
like that
team's a
rating.
big physical team as it is.
Yeah.
So I think he fits in perfectly. It's a good trade for them.
All right, we also had Jack Johnson going back to Colorado. Is a very minor deal, but he won a cup with
Yeah.
them last year, went back to them this year. So, I mean, they know what they're getting with that guy. So he was. I mean,
Mhm.
he played though. Like when what's his name? Gerard got hurt. at the beginning of the playoffs, Jack Johnson stepped in, and played. He played like the rest of the way. So
He's
Well,
insurance, right? He's insurance, and it's someone they know.
yeah,
They
he's going to
they
be a
they,
botting
they
pairing
know what
guy.
they get with him, right?
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
Exactly.
Pittsburgh's still paying for its contract, so why not?
Really?
Yep,
Oof.
we bought him out.
All right, the next one is a big one. It is Timo Meier to the New Jersey Devils. What did you guys
I
think of
only
this one?
want. Well, I want to hear Giancarlo because all these prospects. I don't know what the hell these guys are. Usually you hear of one or two of them that are when in a major trade, right? So I don't know. I don't know what you guys know, but maybe Giancarlo knows the most between all three of us.
Well, I know Zetterland Fabian Zetterland. I know
Yeah.
him pretty well. He's a nice little player. Like he's not a superstar. I don't think that he is going to be like a top 6 type of player. But he'll be a good bottom 6 guy. So I think they did well there. And then I don't even know how the hell to say this guy's name. Shakir Makamala. What a name.
I'm
Not
gonna
bad.
lie.
What a
The reason
name.
I just wanted you to say all their names.
Yeah, I figured you did.
I'm just joking. That's just a bonus.
He's a nice prospect. I mean, he was a first round pick. He looks okay in Russia, but he's more of like a two-way defenseman. He's not really an offensive guy. Like he's got a little bit to him. And then the last one, Nikita Okhazov or whatever. I don't know. I don't even know who that is, to be
Close
honest
enough.
with you.
It's fine.
Yeah, I'm not too sure with him. So, I mean, I think that San Jose did okay. I think it was probably the best offer they were gonna get because, um, you know, more and more players were being moved. So I don't know. I kind of give them like a B minus almost, not more than that. They still got the 2 first round picks, which
Well, it's a
I
conditional
know one's
first.
conditional, right? They
Yeah.
have to make it to the second round, is it?
Yes, the semifinals, and then he has to play a certain amount of games or whatever. So it may not happen. But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, they got a first and a second for a player that they really didn't need, and it would have been harder to trade him. So I like the move for San Jose, and then I like the move for New Jersey too. I mean, I think that they get an A for this one because they get Timo Meyer and they got Scott Harrington, who's a pretty good
But then,
shutdown
but this,
But
defenseman.
someone
the,
picked them
yeah,
up.
he got
Anaheim.
claimed. He got
Oh,
claimed.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anaheim claimed them today. So yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still give them the A though. I mean, New Jersey did really well here.
I don't know how you couldn't say that New Jersey won this hands down. I don't like Dave said at the beginning, you usually are going to know some of these names that are going back, and when the Devils are trading a guy, I think I heard Dawson Mercer's name come up. The other guy that I was thinking of is Alexander Holtz, from them. That's a guy that's been rumored to move, and he's a former first round pick, 7th overall. So again, you there are some names that are out there that you would expect to be in a deal, right? If I'm gonna acquire a guy, or if I'm gonna give up an asset that was expecting to get that type of a return, I would expect some of those names to be there. And when I look at this return, I'm a little underwhelmed, to be honest. Like this Mukamadulin guy or whatever his name is.
I
I
think that's more on the insiders than the reality. I think the insiders were pushing this big, huge, crazy return. I don't know if it's because,
no, but this
you
guy,
know,
yeah, but this
San
guy,
Jose was asking them, but
but
it's crazy.
maybe you're right, but I don't know, Tomas. Like I would expect, I would have expected more. That's all. Like Timo Meyer is not a UFA. He's gonna, and there is a risk that we talked a little bit about yesterday where they have to offer him a deal in order for him to stay. Like he's not obligated. He can take his 1 year, $10 million, and then he's a UFA after. So that is the risk that New
Well,
Jersey took, right?
here's one of the reasonings. One of the reasonings is they were allowed to talk to the agent to negotiate a deal. Not just New Jersey.
Yeah,
Anyone that was trying to obtain Timo Meyer was allowed to speak to the agent.
yeah.
And when they spoke to the agent, they didn't hear anything they liked. That's basically what a lot of people are saying, that what he was going to command in terms of a long-term deal was more than they were willing to. So that's what they backed out.
Yeah, that's fair, and that's fair for those teams. But if New Jersey is willing, like either way, all we know, like I'm just trying to say facts. The fact is, He does not have to stay a New Jersey Devil. He is owed his $10 million. He's going to get a qualifying offer of $10 million, and it's going to be 1 year, and he's going to be a UFA after that 1 year if that's what he wants, right?
Yeah.
And if
And I
if
think
if he
that's the
doesn't
difference.
choose
New
that,
Jersey's willing
yeah,
to take that gamble, and
yeah,
the other teams weren't. And
which
that's all it is.
which would maybe explain the return.
Hmm.
It might explain that, right? Like what we're trying to do is fill in the blanks here, right? Because if this guy was going to sign long term, it's a little bit of an underwhelming return, I would think, for San
Exactly.
Jose.
I
Yeah.
don't think he's going to re-sign in New Jersey. I'll kind
How
of say
come?
that. Like,
How come?
I just
Why?
don't see it. And if he does, I think it's going to be like a really like bridgy short-term type of deal. I don't
Mm.
see
Why would
how
you
they're going to
short? Why
re-sign
would
him.
you bridge? It makes no sense for you to bridge if you're
Well, they
Timo
have the
Meier.
leverage because he's an RFA. So
No,
they're
no, no.
gonna.
There's no leverage, bro. I told you, he is owed a $10 million qualifying offer. That we talked about
Mhm.
this last night. You're the one that
Yeah, but
told me.
there's no way that he doesn't accept that qualifying
But
offer
that's what
at a
I'm trying.
minimum.
But that's what I'm trying to
So
say. It's a 1 year deal, and then he becomes a UFA.
So hold on, let me re-say what I said. I don't think he's going to sign long term. I do think that they're going to re-sign him unless they trade him in the offseason as an RFA. But they'll
Yeah.
100% sign him to a 1 year, $10 million deal.
Yeah, but that
That's
gives you
that's a
that.
But
given.
like
Yeah,
Mike is
but
saying, though,
yeah.
why would he want a short-term deal?
I just
Like
don't think
if
he's
he,
going to fit in New Jersey's
Unless he wants to
cap
be
structure.
unless he wants to be a UFA and go somewhere else. That's what it
okay,
is, right? Like
Is
maybe.
there is
that's what
there
it is.
is there is there something that's happened like that recently? Like I can't think of one.
I can't. This agent was pretty smart to do this because he's
So he
essentially
can so he cannot sign a long-term deal.
no, no,
Or
he
can he?
can. He can.
Of
He
course
can.
It's
he
got to
can.
be
He can do
minimum
whatever he
10.
wants.
He can.
No. He could sign an 8-year,
Yeah.
$3 million deal.
Yes.
AAV. That's
Yes.
not a problem. But if
Yes.
he
Okay.
doesn't sign an extension, it's automatic 1
1
year,
year
$10 million.
exactly. And
If
at
he
the end of that
accepts the
1
Okay,
year,
qualifying and they tender him,
so what
assuming
happens
they
if
do.
what happens after July 1st he doesn't sign? Anyone
1
could
year,
sign
$10
him?
million.
yes.
That's what I'm saying.
As
So if
long as they
anyone signs
qualify
him,
him, which they should.
so if they
Well, they
qualify him,
will. They will. They lose
then
him
he'll
for
They
just
nothing.
take
will.
Yeah.
then he's just going to take the contract.
Exactly.
10 million
But
is
what if
still a
they
lot,
don't?
right?
What if they don't qualify him?
Well,
Then
Then
he's
they
a
trade
UFA.
him.
doesn't he
No, then
become
he's a UFA.
yeah, he becomes a UFA if they don't qualify. That's what
That's what I
happened
mean.
with
So July 1st he becomes UFA. So he's got either the odds are he's going to be there for 1 year,
yeah,
unless
he
they
will
trade
be.
him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he will
Yeah, unless
be.
someone will take him for a year. I don't know. Like,
He will be there for 1 year. I guess that's what it comes down to. But
yeah.
but either way, this is the what his agent has created by doing this, right? Like, it's pretty smart, I have to say, if you're an agent to be able to think like this, because essentially it gives this guy he's gonna be able to decide where he wants to be if he likes it in New Jersey, but his decision is gonna need to be made in the next what few months. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean it is
So
I don't
I'm
know.
possible.
He's got a
I'm taking a
test
look
run
at
right
their
now.
thing, their cap situation, and I guess I will retract what I said. They can sign him long term because they do have Hughes and he shares signed long term, and they have a lot of guys coming off the cap this following year, and they don't have any major signings to sign.
Well, they do. They have
Who?
one, which is Pratt, right? Like that's the big one that they need to sign,
Yes,
Yeah,
and that's
but
coming
the tar
up.
comes
And
off. The tar comes off. Holla comes off. Bernier comes off.
Need a goalie.
yeah, yeah, they still have room for sure. But I don't. What? Why wouldn't you want to stay there unless it's like location? Like he
no,
doesn't like the
right,
location.
right.
The team itself is fantastic. They're going to go for a run this year, and they're only going to get better. Like this is a good young team. Like I don't know why you wouldn't want to be part of this team.
He's gonna love it there. It's gonna be it's more of a offensive team, right? So I think he's
Hmm.
gonna love it there.
His countryman is
Yep.
going to be the center
Yep.
for on his line. So those are two things that come into play. That I know we joke around about things like that, but trust me, those things matter.
Oh, for sure they
That when
do.
you have a guy like
Yeah,
that
you got a buddy. Yeah,
on your team,
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I thought that they had other like major signings to do.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'll definitely retract what I said. I think that he does probably sign long term there. There's
Yeah,
just no reason for him not to.
well, again,
exactly.
if we were going to play the devil's advocate, the reason for him not to is he gets a $10 million 1-year deal, and then if the cap goes up, and then he can go anywhere he wants, then
Yeah.
chances are he's going to get a lot more than that, right?
Well,
Or
the interesting thing too
more than
is
he would
Hughes
get.
is the highest paid at 8 million. Do they give him more than 8 million? Do they meet at 8 million?
Well,
Like, it's going to
that's
be interesting.
back to what
So
Tommaso
they were
said.
saying
Yeah.
that they like to keep a cap
Yeah.
based upon their top contract, right? And try to keep everyone below that. Good luck trying to keep that for much longer, but I think you guys are on something though, because if he plays the next couple games and just goes on a real heater, plays phenomenal into the playoffs, etc., and the agent's like, listen, you can get a lot more than what they're willing to give you, like force their hand basically. Yeah, yeah, sure, but I don't know.
It's
For
going to
me,
be up to him.
when
Yeah.
you think of a person or a player and you're put into a very good situation like New Jersey, why? Why burn those bridges, right?
Well, you never know what's going through a player's head. That's
Yeah, for sure.
like we saw. Not to bring up the NBA because I hate the NBA. I don't know anything about it, but I remember when Kawhi Leonard played for the Raptors, and I know he wanted to go home and play for the Clippers, but I would have considered his situation in Toronto to be pretty ideal for, a guy that just won a championship. The city was
Oh
pretty
yeah,
much throwing themselves at you, right? And he walked away. So you never know. My point is just to say you never know what's going through a player's head, right? Like he may have other reasons that you don't even know about. He may not like he's just coming from San Jose, right? He's been living in the sun, and now he's going to go to New Jersey in February. You know what I mean?
yep, for sure. Or his wife,
Yeah.
right? His wife might
It,
like
yeah.
being in a certain place. You never know, right?
Exactly.
And there's
Good point.
nothing good in New Jersey anyway. Get him out of there.
Good point with the wife. That's it.
Please stop. Come on.
On to the
Whatever.
next. On to the next one.
Let's move on.
Next one was a shocker. It was the Tampa Bay Lightning acquiring Tanner Janot. Is it Janot or
Oh boy.
Janot? I've heard it different
Yeah.
ways. I call him Janot.
I
Um,
did not sounds right. He's from Alberta, is he? Or Saskatchewan? Where's he from?
I think he's Saskatchewan. I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
Saskatchewan.
yeah. I think you're
Let
Good
right.
let
Saskatchewan
Tommaso
boy.
start with this one. I know he has
And
some heartburn
anyway,
over it.
the
Wait a
return
minute.
is
Wait.
just way
But
too
we
low.
didn't say like who won. Who you guys think won that deal then? So we all
Which
say New
deal?
Jersey.
I think New
New
Jersey.
Jersey.
I think New Jersey
New
won.
Jersey won. It's
Yeah.
I
hands
know.
Yeah, New
down.
Jersey
I
won.
want to
Yeah.
hear everybody because I think
Oh
they
yeah.
ripped
Yeah,
off.
New Jersey won that deal, hands down.
When you get the best player and you don't have to give up your best prospects,
Yeah.
for me that's a win. Like
Yeah.
Oh,
it's pretty
easily.
easy.
All right, so then the return for Janot was like, I'm gonna read it quickly. Cal Foot, a 2023 fifth round pick, fourth round pick, third round pick, 2024 second round pick, and a 2025 first round pick, which was quite a haul for a guy in your bottom six. But what do you guys think of that deal?
I like the deal for both sides. I mean, with that kind of package for Nashville, how can you not be happy? Like, he's a great bottom six guy, but anytime you can get that kind of package for somebody like that, and you haven't re-signed him, and his contract talks is stalled, hell, you take that kind of package. So I think it's an A+ for Nashville. But then I also think it's an A+ for Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay doesn't need to add a top six forward. Their defense is pretty good, and their goalies are pretty damn good. Well, goalie. So I mean, they go and get a guy like this, and their top six or bottom six just looks so good now. And the rumor is that he might sign a similar deal to what Nick Paul signed, but even cheaper. And if they can pull that off, they can get him at 8 years at like anywhere under 3 million. I mean, this Tampa Bay team is just not going to go away. Like, these are players that are playoff grinders, right? This is who you'd want in the lineup to win cups. So I think Tampa Bay A+, and I give Nashville an A+ as well. Good trade for both sides.
That's good. That's very good. We know Nashville loves big defensemen. If you look at their history, and I think that once they knew they were going to get rid of what's his name, Ekholm,
Yeah.
I think they went and found Cal Foot. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5". He's a big defenseman. He's still young, early 20s. So I think they knew what they were doing. I think they've decided to to start. I don't want to say rebuild, more like a retool, right? And with Trotz coming in, I think you're going to see a different direction. But I think they did well. I mean, to get that many picks for, would you guys say he's going to be on the third line? I guess on
Yeah,
Tampa
yeah,
Bay.
Third line, yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
Maybe on the third line. I don't
do you
know.
think? Well, either way, I think they did very well in Nashville
Hmm.
because
Yeah,
listen, you get
this is what you want to trade a guy in your bottom six for, right? Like
yeah.
it's he's not gonna. It really comes down to who needs him more, and you're in a position as the Nashville Predators. Like, are you gonna? Uh, I'm not saying I'm bashing the Nashville Predators, but maybe I am. Like, they're not gonna win a Stanley Cup. He's a 25-year-old guy, and what are you gonna pay him for another couple years? He's gonna want to raise. You know what I mean? Like, it's at some point it's gonna be like the timing just isn't right for some of these players, right? When you
And
get
he
a
is
player
what, like
like this.
25 or something,
Yeah,
like
25. Yeah.
25, 26. Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't even a drafted player. He was, I think, signed. So yeah,
Oh,
it's just sometimes that timing isn't right, and you want to capitalize. And this is the perfect thing that Nashville did, where they're going to say, yeah, you know what, the guy's a good player. He's probably hasn't hit his ceiling yet, but by the time he hits his ceiling, like he's going to probably price himself out from us, and then
Yep.
and he's going to end up becoming a problem for us because you can't pay those guys. Like that's what the Canadians are struggling with now, where they got a Brendan Gallagher, uh, you know, that's making more than he should. And you don't want, I'm not saying this guy would score 30 goals, but you never know. He got 26 in his first year, right? So you never know how that's going to turn out. So yeah, I think that's a great deal for Nashville. But on the other side, I man, I have to admire the Tampa GM because this guy focuses on who he wants, and he just goes to the other guy, the other GM, and says, what's it going to take to get this guy? This is the guy I
Exactly.
want." And I love
Yep.
that personally because it tells you that this isn't like we have a guy, we have a type of player in mind for this role. The GM's like, no, 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 I know exactly who I want. And he did the same thing last year when he got Nick Paul and he got Hagel, right?
yep.
He knew exactly who he wanted and he targeted those guys. And he comes in and he goes, yeah, you know what? I got to pay a premium to get the guys, those actual guys that I want, not just a type, right? So I appreciate that.
And the Predators got Cal Foot in the deal too. Like, yeah, they got 5 round picks, which is already crazy. But they did get Cal Foot too. He's a good NHL defenseman. Like, he's a top 6, top 4 maybe. Um, like, I don't know. They're just, yeah. There's no way that you can say Nashville didn't do well here. They did phenomenal.
It was a lot. I think it was. I think if you go around the league and you ask all the GMs, I think they would have been floored. They'd think like, okay, Janot's a great player, but for that amount of assets, like that's just
But
ridiculous.
that,
But
yeah, see, that's
I don't know.
when I saw that comment, I saw that one you're talking about, where all the other GMs where their jaws hit the floor or whatever. But you know what?
Yeah.
What it tells me is that there is no such thing like the NHL is funny because anytime you're trying to sign a player or you're trying to extend a player, there's always this market value that people talk about. But the reality
Yep.
is everyone creates their own market. That's at the end of the
Yep.
day, that is the reality. And that this is a good example of Tampa Bay saying, "You know what? Like what good is it for us to get these picks that are not going to see the ice for 3 years? Add 3 years to Steven Stamkos' age and Kucherov's age, right? And you're going to be like these guys are not going to be here, right? So
For sure.
we owe it to this team now because this is our time now. Like they're not going to be
Yeah.
around forever, right?
Hundred
So
percent.
I
Well,
Well,
let's
that's
can
just
why.
look at what they were talking about Kachuk, right? Kachuk being a unicorn,
yeah,
right? And Janot is of the same breed. Like he can skate, he can hit, he can fight. Like he's not a goon, he's not a
yeah,
Ryan Reeves, he's not a Zach Aston Reese. Like he's not like that. He can actually play with your top line players and not miss a beat. So I don't know. Like he's not like I know everyone's saying, "Oh, that's a lot for a bottom six." Don't kid yourself. If you don't be surprised if he ends up like in the top six under Tampa from here and there, because the guy offers a ton of protection to star players. He can skate, and he's like an excellent forechecker. So like look at Bunting, how he is in Toronto. That guy got 20 goals playing with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner.
Right.
A guy, imagine like someone like Jeannot there. He pot third easily.
Yeah.
You know, and
He's not
I don't know.
a cement head, right? Like he's
No, not at all.
that's what I'm
Not at all.
saying. Like
I
yeah.
was praying for this guy since a little bit towards the end of last year, because like just the way he plays for me, he like I said, he's not a fourth line player. He's not a guy that just goes out, plays 8 minutes a night, and fights, and then sits on the bench for the rest of the night. This guy plays hard. He can actually
Right.
skate, and he's got a brain. You know, like think
Right.
of like a baby Lucic. You know, like he's good, and I think Tampa Bay. I hate it. Like of all the teams that has to get him, friggin' Tampa. You know,
Well,
like of course.
they target their guy, right? And I heard I was gonna read something that the Tampa GM said about him, which I thought spoke volumes. He says, "What I thought we needed to address is to be harder to play against, to be a team that could win the hard-fought, tight-checking games come playoff time. Tanner Janot is that guy." Brisebois said, "That's how he plays. He helps play. He plays in a way that helps you win those games." So,
Yeah.
and he knows full well, like not many people probably watched the Montreal Tampa final because it was probably the ugliest hockey. But I watched those games, and I've said it to you guys before. It was not the top lines of Tampa that beat Montreal. Montreal actually stopped those guys pretty
Yep.
well in
Yep.
the series. That third line of Blake Coleman, Yanni Gourde, and Barclay Goodrow, they killed Montreal because it's like that third line, there was nobody like that mismatch starts to happen, right? Where you got guys that can
Exactly.
play. They're not second line players, but they're the best third line you're going to find. And this is where
Yeah.
a guy like Janot fits because he's not going to need to play in the top six. He's going to end up playing against bottom six guys, and he's capable of more. And he's playing with guys that are okay, like Sorelli or whoever. Like they got an amazing third line. So this is it's not something that that you can overlook. Like this Tampa team they know exactly what they wanted and they got it and they paid the premium to get it. So
It's
uh,
silly to say that a bottom six forward put them over the edge, but it did. It put them over the edge, and it's as somebody who doesn't want to see them win anymore because they've already won too much.
tired,
Yeah, it sucks.
tired of watching these guys win. To be honest,
Yeah.
jealous but
Yeah.
tired. Edmonton acquired Matthias Ekholm and a sixth round pick in 2024
Yep.
for Tyson Berry, Reed Schaefer, a 2023 first round pick, and a 2024 fourth round pick.
Well, I mean, the Oilers they were going to get somebody. I guess they couldn't work out the Carlson deal unless there's a miracle that happens now. That's a tough trade. I think we discussed it. To make that trade happen, I don't know. They'd have to move mountains.
Carlson, I don't think he was ever, like Tommaso
Yeah,
said, like there's no way. I don't see how
that's a
that
tough trade.
contract is ever gonna happen. Like there's no way. You would have had to eat salary. San Jose didn't want to do that. There's no
I
way.
think with a couple years left, they might be able to because I think he has 4 more after this. So tough, but he might be useless by then. Who knows? Then it came down to Chikrin, Ekholm, I think Gavrikov. They were going to get one of those guys. There's no way they weren't going to get a defenseman. I
But
think losing Barry was fine because he's not a defensive defenseman anyways. That's what they need. I
Yeah.
think Ekholm fits that bill. I'm just wondering if they're going to add another guy now, another more like a third pairing D man.
Well, they're weak on the right side now, right? Like that's the only thing.
You want
So
Hull?
sure, give it to him.
I don't know. I don't.
No, seriously. I'm wondering if they're going to add another defenseman because I think that's their weakness. Other
Well,
than
let's see how
overall,
much space.
they don't have much depth anyway, guys, in the bottom 6. But they're not
Deadline
going to be
cap space says they have just a bit over $2 million. So
yeah, they could find somebody. They will.
I don't know. I don't. Ekholm for me, he's one of those guys. I guess he's like a steady guy. He's not. He does not going to wow you, but he's been part of a Nashville team that's been that way for a while, right?
Okay.
Is that fair? I don't know. I don't.
But
Oh, it's
you
true.
don't need
But he played,
wow. You don't need
no, you
wow
don't. You
in
don't need WoW.
Oilers, you know?
Exactly. But
You
he's
need
played a lot of.
stability.
He's
Yeah.
played a. He's a horse. He'll
Yep.
play 25 minutes a game, but he's played a lot of hockey, and I think he's turning 33 this year. So
He is.
he's got a lot of miles on him, and plus he's got I think 2 more years at
He's got
6.25 or something.
3 more years at 6.
3 more years after this.
3 more years at 6. But I think I read
Yeah.
that Nashville was paying like 4% of the salary. I think I heard 4%. Like I don't know how they landed on
Yeah,
that
what
number.
was that about?
I don't know,
That's
4%. Like
so dumb.
how do you land on that number?
250K.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't know. But if you're not too familiar with Ekholm, just think of Jake Muzzin because everyone obviously knows who he is. He's better than Muzzin, right? So that tells you what type of defenseman he is. Like he's the guy that will be stable. He will like shut down the other team's best players. He will bring confidence to the people around him. He'll make the defense so much stronger. Like it's just huge trade for them. I think
well, it
this
makes
was
sense.
a big win.
It makes sense
But
because
one thing I'll ask you guys is playing on that team who plays
Mhm.
so offensive. Like he's used to playing in that Nashville system where it was always about defense, right? So now it's going to be more wide open. So having, I think you need more than just him on the back end because he's not used to playing on a team that's 4 guys up the ice and he's alone back there, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
It depends.
Yes and no, because like if you look at the flip side, like look at Brody. Brody's a perfect example, right? He came here to Toronto, and Toronto, the forwards don't have a clue how to play defense. Very similar to the Oilers, and Brody is our best defenseman. So I don't know. I don't think he'll be a problem. I think he'll be a perfect fit there.
makes sense to me after you guys told me about him. Like Edmonton, I don't know. That makeup of that team is probably needed a little bit of stability. So I think it's gonna work
Oh
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like right
And then
now,
there's-
their biggest problem is their defense and keeping the puck out of the net, and by far their biggest problem. So
So he addresses that.
yeah,
But
they got the best guy on the market. Like
but to
he's
Dave's point,
easily the best defenseman.
true. But to Dave's point, is it enough? Like looking at this blue line, I'm looking at it right now. They got Nurse, Ekholm, Cece, Kulak, Bouchard, Broberg, and Vincent Desharnais.
The
Who is
right side. What's that guy's name in Washington? Is it Jensen?
Jensen.
yeah,
Is he a right shot D?
I think so. I think he's rumored to go.
Yeah, so I think something like that. I thought something like that I could see them picking up like a mid draft pick, just to fill him in so it's not the rookie that he's paired with. And I think they'll be fine. I think that other team greatly improves with this trade.
They did. I mean, they also lost. Was Barry their first unit
Yep.
power play? Was he?
Yep.
Okay. So who's
Yep.
going to take
He
his
was their
spot? Ekholm?
quarterback.
Is it going to be Bouchard,
No,
Ekholm?
it'll be Bouchard.
Okay.
Or you never know. They might roll 5 forwards.
What's the
Like,
difference? Just give
you
the
never
puck to
know.
McDavid. It really doesn't
That's
matter who
true.
plays defense there. It's
Yeah, so
ridiculous.
I don't think they'll lose too much.
We'll see. Maybe they flip Barry, right? Nashville. But look, at the end of the day, the West, we've said it, is wide open. Edmonton's one of the top 3 teams in the West. Maybe it's good enough to make a final. We'll see. But they don't have to go through teams like New York or New Jersey or Boston or the Kings.
The problem with them is the
Tampa Bay.
goalies. The goalie situation. Like, look, perfect example is Calgary. Calgary was head and shoulders better than Oilers last year, but Markstrom just forgot how to play hockey, and that's the only reason why Oilers won. And look, Markstrom has taken that into this year too. He's been god awful. So does Soupy get his act together in time for the playoffs? I hope so. Like I like the guy personally, but I don't know. Like trusting him or Skinner to, like all you need is 900, right? You just need 900 save percentage, and Oilers will win. With that offense, they're so good, but and the West is so garbage. Like who are they going to be playing, right? Nobody's.
Well, there's still a
Well,
couple teams that you have to beat.
it's it's their division that's going to be tough to get out of. They got to get by LA, and if they add something, it's going to be a tough matchup. And then they got to get by maybe Vegas. It's the other division that's weak.
Vegas and LA are really bad matchups for them. Really bad matchups because LA has the players to shut down the McDavid Draisaitl because they have Daniel
Yeah, they
that
got
can
to
do
know.
it, right?
Yeah.
They got guys that can do that, and plus they're defensively sound. So that's like that's their kryptonite. A team like those, and Vegas, don't kid yourself. They play hard. They play defensive. They don't give you a lot of room to breathe. Like that will be a very tough matchup for the Oilers as well.
And we've seen
Like,
the
but
stats
again,
before where McDavid draws 50 million penalties in the regular season, but in the playoffs
yeah,
he didn't draw one, right? So
yep, yep.
it's that's the way the NHL is until it isn't. So
How many times we said that, right? Like the
yeah,
regular season and playoffs is a completely different game.
completely different.
Let's see if the
It's
official
not on T.
account.
There it is. Blackhawks agree to trade. It just says agree to trade Patrick Kane to Rangers.
It's
That's done.
official, but it's not. I don't think that they've finished a trade call because they're doing the financial part, and New York's not playing today, so there's no rush to get it done right this second. But it's
Okay.
done.
All right. So why don't we talk about Kane first then? What are
Sure.
the I don't have it in front of me then. So what are the
Hey,
details of the Kane deal?
So the details are Rangers get Patrick Kane, Blackhawks get conditional 2023 second round pick, 2023 fourth round pick.
Wow.
well,
Wow.
we said he was going to go for cheap. There's no trading partners. It's just one team. You try selling a house to one person, you're going to get the, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you get 2 or 3 teams involved, and then the price is going to go up. So
Well, that means the Hawks did him a favor, obviously. So that
yeah,
was
easily.
nice of them to do that, I
They
guess.
took
But
what they could get.
I'm surprised that the NHL lets this shit happen sometimes. But I guess that's the way it is. Like when you have
Hold on.
modified no
That
trade clauses.
that additional pick, a fourth round pick, also goes to Arizona, right?
Third,
For
I think
No.
third.
A third round
no
pick goes to
fourth round.
Arizona. Chicago gets a conditional second round pick that becomes a first round pick in 2024, 2025 if the Rangers make the Eastern Conference final, and they get a fourth round pick. That's like no condition, nothing. They get a fourth
No,
round
but
pick.
what about Arizona? Because Arizona did.
Gets a third round pick for
From-
compensating
Oh.
the salary
Okay, that makes
Third
sense.
round pick from the Rangers,
from the Rangers.
right? From the Rangers
Yep.
or yeah,
Yep.
okay.
From the
Rangers, Rangers.
Okay, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
Saravelli doesn't have that in there for some reason.
It's like Mike said. It's just there's no. It's hard to kind of look at until it's official. It is official, but like there's no.
Either way,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like if we're just talking, forget all that other crap because it's not even worth talking about with second round picks and fourth round picks. Like you just got Patrick Kane on your team for a playoff
Yeah.
run. And all that talk about him not being 100%, I don't even hear anything about that now. Like
No.
this team is going to be really tough to beat. The Rangers, in my eyes, are going to like they are the class of that side of the conference anyway. No doubt in my mind now. Anyway.
Well, I mean, I do agree that they're looking like the best team on that side of the conference. I don't think that they're better than Toronto or Tampa.
Yeah. Forget the
I do.
Atlantic.
Yeah,
Forget the
I
Atlantic.
do agree. Yeah, are they better than Carolina? I think so, big time.
No, hold on. The big question, Giancarlo, I have for you: do you think now that the Rangers are going to make the playoffs?
I mean, there's still a chance that they don't, but I mean, everything's
Yeah, they're
headed north to
They're
them
not
making it.
clinched
So
yet. Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Rangers, New Jersey, Leafs, Tampa. Those 4 teams, 2 are going to get knocked out in the first round. That's stupid. Those 4 teams are better than everyone in the West. And like 2 of those teams are going to go home crying and disappointed and disaster. Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Look.
Yeah. gotta go home eventually, right?
Yeah, but
Just win, man.
crazy.
Why? Like I know what you're saying. I've had these internal dialogues myself, but at some point, it's just better to like if you beat that team, isn't it better? Like if you can.
Yeah, but think about it, right? Whoever the East, like whoever comes out of the East, when you face the West in the finals, that team will be the worst team you faced all playoffs.
So beat
It'll
them.
be exactly like when Tampa played the
No.
Habs in the finals.
Sure,
The
sure.
Habs were by far the worst team
Right.
they
And
faced
and
all
what and what
playoffs.
and Tampa rolled them. So that's the way to do it.
But
Like,
that's dumb. Like
well,
you don't want to see the Stanley Cup Finals after
well,
the first period.
to be fair,
The first period, Tampa knew they won the Stanley
okay,
Cup.
to be fair, Montreal did upset two teams. I'm not. I don't want to defend the Montreal Canadiens because I did not want to see that happen. But to be fair, they upset two significant teams that were supposed to beat them. So I don't know what you want from a team, just to roll over and go home. Like, it's the
No,
playoffs.
that's not what I'm saying. It's not on Montreal's fault. It's just the way that the
No, but they.
the playoffs is organized. It shouldn't be like that.
But that
It
was a
should be from
different
top to
format.
bottom, I think, right?
I
It
wish
should
it
be
was
like
1-16. I wish it
yeah,
was.
I think that makes more sense.
But they'll
One to
never
go
do
one to
it.
16, I would
16.
love that.
They
I
will
think
never do it.
I think you guys overanalyze a lot of the time because I don't know. I remember the 1 versus 8 format, and it might not be 1 versus 16. Uh, but I think travel would probably play a significant role if that were to
That's
come
the
into
only
play.
reason.
That's
Yeah,
it right there. You
yeah,
hit a random money. The
yeah.
travel's the big deal for the NHL teams. But if
Mhm.
you did 1 to 16, for me, who gives a shit about playing against the West in the Stanley Cup Finals or who gives a crap? You want to see the two best teams in the Stanley Cup Finals.
I
That to
wish we
me
did this,
is
and
what makes sense.
I wish we had had seeded these teams 1 to 16 just to see right now what the matchups would be. I think you guys would be surprised. I think you'd still see some tough
Easy.
matchups. I think
That's easy to do.
you'd still see some
East
tough
against the
matchups.
West. Every match will be East against West because they're at the bottom. The East, the
Yeah.
West. Sorry, I think
All you have to do is just go to standings
And go to league,
and you
right?
go to league overall, right?
yeah.
Because and that's it. 1 to 16.
Yeah, okay,
16
okay,
is
but you're saying
Pittsburgh.
so you're
Pittsburgh,
saying
Pittsburgh against
Boston, baby.
Boston.
but
Let's go.
are you
Carolina
okay,
against
okay,
New
but
York Islanders.
hold on. Are you saying to disregard like
East and West.
East and
Yes.
West completely? Like, no,
Yeah,
like,
go
Completely. Yeah.
1
oh,
to 16.
okay, come on.
Yeah.
That's a bit silly,
Not gonna
but okay.
happen. This
Yeah.
No,
But
but that's how I think that would be the fairest thing, right?
that's how
yeah,
they used to do it in the
Ah.
70s. That's
How
yeah,
is
when
it
they
fair
stopped.
though?
I'd
Your
do it.
schedule plays a significant role. Like, whatever. I don't know. To me, it's not as easy as you make it sound. I understand what you're saying, but we'd have to give it a lot more thought because it's not the fairest because your division would matter in that case. If everyone was playing each other the same amount of times, then it would be fair, but it's not. So your division would still influence how well you or how poorly you did, right? So
Sure.
it's so that's why sometimes it's where you're like, okay, you know what, all you got to do is just worry about winning those divisional games and I'm going to make the playoffs, right? It's not a anyway. I'd we could talk forever about the playoff format. Maybe we'll do another one about that. For me, it's like,
For sure.
what are you gonna do? At the end of the day, you just gotta play, right? If you
Yeah.
Back,
here's
back
my
to
gotta
the
point.
win.
King trade,
If
right?
guys are complaining about playoff seeding and stuff like that, I got news for you. You've already lost. That's what I say. That's what I say to that.
For sure.
Crosby
For sure.
has.
Well, that's why he's already lost.
Crosby. I know. Hey, he is pushing for back to 1-8, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
No,
I'm
and
sure it'll change eventually. They will change it eventually. If you keep
it
getting the
will.
same matchups, it's gonna change.
But that's what they
No, but
want.
well,
That's what they
make
want,
sure you
Dave.
understand my point. Me bringing this up has nothing to do with the Leafs. I don't give a crap about that's an excuse for me because Leafs had the best chance ever to get to the
Right.
finals
Right.
and they blew it. They lost to Columbus the year before. They blew it. So they can cry all you want. That stuff is bullshit. You got to beat the teams that you're faced, and that's it. No crying. But that's not like that's what I mean. I'm not saying this is a biased Leaf fan. I'm just saying it as a hockey fan. I hate seeing a Stanley Cup final that is irrelevant. That does like you already know the game's over. Just like watching a Super Bowl. Like you want to watch it, you just want a competitive game, right? I just want to see two teams, the best of the best, face each other.
It
I
doesn't
don't know
always
that.
work
I
out
don't
like
know.
that. I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't always work
Yeah,
out
that's
that
all
way.
I'm asking.
Well, Montreal and Tampa was an anomaly. It's been pretty close the past few series.
Dallas was in there too,
What
which
Well, Colorado and Tampa was the dream matchup. Come on,
yeah,
that was
But
as
if you
good as it
recall,
gets.
there used to be so many sweeps in the finals a few years ago,
It
maybe
was,
20.
yeah, for sure.
That's gone. I can't remember the last time there was a sweep now.
I still remember the 1 versus 8 series, and
Colorado.
guys, I said this earlier. There were so many upsets. I just don't think you see as many upsets anymore. Really, you don't. Like I think you
Oh,
see.
there's so much parity too, right, Mike? There's a lot of parity
Well,
now.
that's what the NHL wanted. If you go back to what the
Exactly.
NHL wanted,
Mhm.
they wanted to create those matchups because they got sick and tired of Montreal beating Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like they got sick and tired of seeing that. They didn't want to see teams that were not good in the second round, and we kept seeing these upsets because those teams got nothing to lose, right? They go into a playoff series and they throw the kitchen sink at you. And how many teams Montreal would upset Washington? You know, like it's ridiculous.
Yep.
Like and so then the league said, you
Oh,
know what?
guys,
Screw that. We'd rather have marquee matchups
trade
no matter what.
trade call complete.
Uh-oh.
Patrick Kane is
Nice.
officially a New York Ranger.
Nice.
They've heard you talking, Mike.
Nice. It's still not on the site. It's still not on the site. So
Sounds like there's also a minor league swap as part of the deal.
Wow.
nice.
So they got to move out cash to fit him in.
Either way, back to the Rangers, man. This team, they've done an amazing job with this deadline. They got Tarasenko and Kane to add
Yep.
to that team. That's incredible. Incredible work.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna play Mr. Negative because I have to play that card.
You
for my own
negative
sanity.
about Rangers?
Yeah,
What?
I'm going there. So their
That's
goalie still
impossible.
sucks.
Ugh.
That's going to be a huge
Come
issue.
on,
Their goalie blows.
Giancarlo.
Ridiculous.
And I mean, sometimes there's too much firepower and there's just no chemistry with it. So, I mean, maybe Kane goes there and there's just no chemistry between the team with Kane and
No
Same-
chemistry between
and even
Oh,
Tarasenko.
Kane
Kane.
and
And him
Panarin.
and
Right? Are
Panarin.
you listening to what you're saying?
Hey man,
Him and
Panarin and
they
Kane, no
got traded.
chemistry.
He got traded for a reason. They don't like each other.
They're buddies. That's why they
They
want.
s-
That's
No,
What? They're best
hate each other.
friends.
yeah.
What?
Giancarlo
Oh my
just.
they
God,
fight over the last turkey leg.
You're
every
too
Thanksgiving.
funny. You're amazing.
It's gonna be it's gonna be amazing to watch though. Like this team is lights out, but you know what? Hockey is a weird sport, man. Like Dave said earlier, guys have to gel. You never know. Like chemistry.
Oh, for sure.
I know Panarin and Kane will have it, but um, who knows? Like you never know how it's going to work out in the end, and that's why hockey. That's why we watch a lot of the time. So it looks like it's going to be New Jersey and the Rangers, I guess. If that, yeah, it looks like that's going to
Yeah.
stay that way.
Oh, yeah.
All things pointing towards that. Yeah.
They're not catching Carolina.
Actually, New Jersey might. They're only
New
3
Jersey's
points.
not far off.
They're
yeah.
only 3 points behind them, so it is still possible that we see a Carolina Rangers matchup. Which, I mean,
Oh, that's better for the Rangers.
I don't want to talk
Yeah,
about
I think
Carolina.
Carolina gets smoked by the Rangers.
I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
Carolina because I think after the Leafs, I think I'd like to do a segment where we talk about the teams that have not added enough, and I'd like to do that if you guys are up for it.
I'm sure we'll talk about that Thursday. Are we still doing it Thursday?
Yeah, we could if we're not then yeah.
If something comes up, yeah.
Holy shit! It's still only Tuesday. We got 3 more days of this. There's gonna be trades every day. Unbelievable. We're gonna have
Oh, yeah,
podcasts
today's
every night.
Tuesday.
Shit.
Thought it was Wednesday.
Hey, what are we complaining about? Weren't we talking about in a podcast a while ago saying NHL's so boring? This is the
Well,
best. I love
Yeah.
it.
This is perfect for the fans. They need this
Yeah.
stuff.
For sure.
All right.
This is more fun than watching the games, to be honest.
It is.
It is.
100%.
Unfortunately, it is. For me, it is anyway. I don't know. You guys are still a winning team. So for me, it's
Regular
exciting.
season, Mike.
You're right.
We're tired of.
I understand.
I know what you mean. I know. I
Yep.
get it.
Attention sport card enthusiasts. Looking for a convenient and reliable way to expand your collection? Look no further than Fanatics Collectibles Canada. This online shop is your one-stop destination for all things card sports, from vintage to modern, from football to hockey to basketball and more. They even got some bench warmers. The selection is second to none, featuring rare and exclusive players from top players and teams. Whether you're a serious collector or you're just starting out, they will have something for you. And with their easy-to-use website and secure online checkout, you can browse and purchase cards from the comfort of your own home at any time, any day. So why wait? Visit the online shop today at www.fanaticcollectibles.com and start building the collection of your dreams. With their vast selection, unbeatable prices, and dedicated community, you're sure to have a winning experience every single time. All right, I guess we're ready for the
So let's do the
for the
Leafs.
grand finale.
Like,
The
I don't.
Leafs take 2.
Do you guys want to go through all these, or do you want me to go through them one at a
No,
time?
no,
What do
No,
we
you
no,
want?
don't.
no. Before
No, we
we
don't.
get into the actual deals that took place,
Yeah.
there's 2 things that have come up within the past couple of minutes that
Oh my
so it's
God.
like news.
Get out of
So
here.
Elliot Freeman's reporting the Leafs are not in on Corposalo, that the Leafs
Surprise.
are not going to be looking to be acquiring a goaltender.
Hmm.
And the other thing is Chris Johnson saying that Leafs are still in on a Chikrin and they're going all in. So I
Holy
don't know what the
shit.
fuck that means. I don't know what that means, but
Well, that
Who
makes the
said this?
Sandine trade make more
Chris
sense
Johnson.
too, right?
Well, they got that first. Yeah, they got that first round
Yep.
pick, right? For the Sandine deal. So
Yeah.
hey,
So we'll see
wow.
what that leads. Now let's actually go with the things that happened. Actually, start off with Sandine, right? Sandine's the first trade of the day.
Well, no, you missed the other ones. So McCabe and Lafferty. Do we want to talk about those
Oh,
guys or
okay, yeah.
no?
Yeah, let's
Y-
talk
We
about them
forgot
all.
about those guys already.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when I went through the chronological order, they were the first. So I mean, honestly, this return from that the Leafs gave, I don't even look. I'm not even going to mention these names other than the draft picks. So Leafs get McCabe and Lafferty, a couple of conditional picks, and then they ended up giving up a conditional first and a second,
Okay.
2025 and 2026. So what do you guys think of McCabe and Lafferty? I don't know anything about these guys, so what do you guys think of them?
Listen, at the end of the day, something has happened in the past 2 days where they realize they got to show up on some grit. We all knew they were going to add a defenseman. We all said it. We weren't sure who it was going to be, but not surprised on that end. But I'm really surprised that they did a 180 on their bottom 6. And I think you guys said, what I think about these trades. I think, is it too late? And you know what I compare it to? You're in a relationship for a long time with a woman, or it's a girl with a guy, and you could see that the person is not changing. And at the end, just before you're about to break up, the person goes, "Okay, I'm gonna change." But are they really gonna? I don't know. Is it too late now? Is it too late? Because you're expecting a team to suddenly become one and unite and gel, and then in 20 games, is that doable? I've never seen it happen ever. You can say, but the core guys are still there, right? And which is true. But still, you've changed 30% of your roster just like that. Like, what made them realize that suddenly we need all these kind of guys on this team? Like, fans have been screaming, not only fans, even hockey experts have been saying that's what this team has been lacking. And now, in the last few days, suddenly you change course. Something doesn't add up here. Just doesn't add up. I'm not saying I don't like the moves. They're all great moves, but is it too late? I don't know.
It's interesting. You know what? Let me read the rest of the deals just so that we can talk about them all at the same time because it sounds like
Sure.
we're talking about sort of the outlook after all of them. So the
Okay.
Leafs also acquired Eric Gustafsson for Rasmus Sandin, but they also got a first round pick, which was
Yep.
Boston's first round pick. They acquired a third round pick for Pierre Engvall. They
Mhm.
acquired Luke Shen for a third round pick in 2023. And that is it for the Leafs. So, I mean, but back to what Dave is saying, Tommaso, what do you think? Do you agree with him
So
or
let's start off with what they got, right? And Jake McCabe and Lafferty. Jake McCabe, I think, is a poor man's Muslim. I think he's fine. I think he's defensively responsible. He hits. He penalty kills. He's everything this team needs. Great trade. Lafferty is basically a better Kerfoot. Like he's a very good forechecker. I'm not thinking this guy's like this big superstar coming, but he's a good bottom 6 player. So no problems there. Um, in terms of what Dave is saying, I agree with him. Like in terms of we've been asking for this for so long, but at the same time, like
they did it?
with the nucleus is there, they're going to play their way regardless. The people that have let them down is the bottom guys, and now we're addressing this. Whether you address it now like these are your choices. Either you do or you don't. You can't complain when they don't, right? So like, you got to do it. You got to.
And
You have an opportunity. You make it. Make that
I want
chance. Like
I want to interrupt you because what you said about the bottom six and not come through, I totally disagree with that.
why?
I
Bottom
think
six
it's
has
the
done
core.
nothing in the
I
playoffs.
think it's
Zero.
if you're relying on your bottom six to win you rounds in a cup, why
Did
what are
you
you in the
not
league
just
for?
hear Mikey? Tampa
What?
Bay beat Montreal. Their
That's
third
fine.
line beat them. The
Well,
Tampa Bay beat
wait a minute.
Toronto.
What
Nick
did
Paul
Kucherov?
beat you,
But if I
right?
recall, Kucherov was one of the main pieces that got him to the finals.
You need
Sure.
the
And
reality is you need everybody, like we
You
talked
need
about. Like
everybody,
you do. You
exactly,
need
but
everybody
where has
exactly.
contributing. But if
but that's,
your core, like, okay, so let me see if I can boil it down here. Like, and I don't want to read between the lines here, but Dave, are you saying that the core has let you down? Is that what you're saying prior to now?
100%.
Okay.
Let me ask Giancarlo this because he's a Pens fan. Have the Pens ever had to get this much depth ever to help Sid and Malkin? No way. No way that they've had to mortgage all
Yeah,
the
but
future to get all these guys. They've
the
never
NHL
needed
is
that
different
much
now,
help.
though. The game's changing every year, right? Like, in these bottom six players are just becoming more and more crucial. And getting guys like Sam
Exactly.
Lafferty, it's not a joke. Like, this guy, I'm maybe I'm a little bit biased because he was a Pen, but I watched him a lot, and he's the kind of guy that gives 101 every single shift. Sure, he's not the best player
Fine.
on the ice, but he's
Yeah.
gonna hit. He's gonna fight. He's gonna shoot. He's gonna do whatever he can do, and he's serviceable. Serviceful. He's not a superstar, but I mean, come playoff time, you can't have enough of these guys. You can't. And that's why Pittsburgh probably didn't win more cups, because as good as they've been the last century, their bottom six has always been kind of mediocre. So it's like, as soon as Crosby or Malkin or one of these
Yeah.
guys went down, like, you need
I,
that playoff
I'm
depth.
I'm not disagreeing with you guys because we've been crying for this kind of help, but more like just to be tougher and competitive in the playoffs. I get it, but I'm saying if your core four is going to disappear again, you can't just say, "Well, now it's the
Well,
bottom six." For
let's
guys,
they
But
didn't
the core four hasn't disappeared. Like I
right.
know
no,
that's the narrative, but
three
like
assists in 9 games for Marner and deciding games and not disappearing.
sure, will okay.
But that
So
is disappearing. It is.
no,
You could
the
say, "Well,
Islanders
Nick
played
Paul."
really good the past two playoffs. Okay, I can't. No one can argue that. Marner played the bottom half of the series against Tampa like he was almost invisible. I agree with you 100%. Matthews was very good, but he wasn't great. 100%. Tavares, he had a game
Yeah,
deciding
great game. Yeah,
series
he
goal taken back by a stupid Hall penalty. Okay, he had the series won. It
Well,
would
that
have
was
been
a tie. He
Tavares.
tied the game. He tied the game.
So,
That goal
like,
tied the
the
game.
narrative changes so quickly, right? Like on little things like that.
Oh, but
So,
that's where winners are made, right? In the
I
crunch
agree,
time.
but like, it's not as simple as they were garbage, they did nothing. No, because that's not true. Like, I'm harder on the Leafs than anyone in the world, but I call a spade a spade, you know? Like, do I want more from them? 1,000%. You're not getting paid $11 million to be good. You should be great, right? That's why Tampa won those cups. That's why Colorado won those cups, because their best players were the best players. They won the Conn Smythe. They dominated the other teams. And that's what we need from Matthews. That's what we need from Tavares. Those guys have to do it. But now they have a surrounding cast that can help them win the war. That to me is huge. You can't just put it on four guys and say, okay, win us the series. No, you can't when you're going up against a Tampa team that has four lines coming at you every single shift that dominates. Like you can't do that. You need help. And now at least they have some help.
Mhm.
It's I hear both of you say, or both of your sides, and I think that at the end of the day, Dave, it's like, as they got what they needed. It may have been, maybe it would have made you feel a little bit better if they did these changes
The
like
summer,
before. Yeah,
in the
like
early
after
summer.
Montreal. Let's say after they
I
lost
would
to
feel, but
Montreal.
yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
100%.
yeah.
But here's the thing: is that I like the fact that McCabe has term, and I think Lafferty will be here for one more year. It'd be nice if, all right, if these guys were to stay together for 2-3 years, That's fine. I'm perfect with all these moves.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this guy has sacrificed the whole future to help this core five get over the hump. Because if they would have won a round or two, he probably doesn't have to mortgage all the future on and give up all these draft picks away. No way this would have happened.
I
This
don't
is-
know. I disagree. I still think you do, and because if you look at a team like Tampa Bay, they just traded 5 first-round picks
Yeah,
for
but
I
they
one
get
got
it,
player.
one
but
guy.
what team has changed?
One
What
guy.
team has changed 30% of their roster at the deadline? No team has ever done this. I'm not saying it's not going to work. The odds are it's
You're
not going to
skeptical.
work.
I know. Yeah,
Dave,
because
The odds are
they
it's
need
not
time to
going to
learn
work.
how to play
Dave,
together.
you
and
know
stuff
I
like
agree
that.
with you on everything you're saying. Okay,
We can't
like
agree on everything. That's okay.
no, but like when it comes down to the Leafs, me and you think exactly the same that they should have made these moves after they lost the Habs, but they didn't. Right.
No.
So at the end of the day, we either
Oh,
got to be
wait a
happy
minute.
that
They
it's
didn't do it,
finally happening,
but they also
or we're
didn't
gonna,
do it the year after. They didn't do it this
yeah,
past
but
summer. They
well,
didn't
that's what
do
I'm
it during the
saying.
year. So why
I
now
guess
in
I'm
the
a
last
glass
week?
half full, right? I'm a
No, but I
glass
say,
half full type of guy.
what
Like,
happened? What
what are
happened
we
in
gonna
the
do? Gonna
last
cry
week?
about it later?
So that's a
No,
good
no, no.
question,
I'm saying
Dave. So that's a good
what
question.
happened in the last.
What do you
What?
think? What happened? Like you're right. Like what happened in the last week to make this happen? Like what do you
What do you
think?
think happened? Shanahan basically said, "Go shut." I don't want to say what I was just about to say, but like basically, doofus, just do what I tell you. Yeah, that's all that's happening right now. Like they completely went against his philosophy of building a team. Dave's exactly right. Like if he built a team this way, if you really thought that
Yeah,
you
he
needed this
deconstructed. Yeah,
physicality,
he
you
literally
needed this
deconstructed the
bottom
team.
six,
Yeah.
you would have done it in the off season, not
Yeah.
now. But that's why Dave's 100% right. I agree with him.
Like
But
Engvall just
this is
signed as an
Shanahan.
RFA. Why did you? What did you suddenly
Exactly.
not believe in Engvall anymore? You
Yep.
just signed him. You
Yeah.
just signed. I think the Sandy one. I think we talked about it before. I think the agent pissed him off. I think that really left a bad taste in Dubas's mouth. I think he was willing to part with him. He never took a step forward this year. I think Liljegren has, but not him. But something's changed in the past week and a half. You could say, well, maybe they were working on these deals a few weeks ago, a few months ago. I don't know. Maybe. I had the Riley inside information that they did ask about him in November just to see if he would be available. So maybe
So
they were looking to add one guy, maybe two, but they've added 6 guys. And I'm not saying that they're the wrong 6 guys. This is the type of team we wish they
yeah,
had
yeah.
past few
You
years.
would have said this
Exactly.
team. You would have had more confidence in previous playoffs if you went in with these soldiers in
Oh
those
yeah.
battles.
100%.
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying, and I hear what Dave's saying. It's like, so it's kind of like what happened. Well, the reality is all we can do. We don't know. We're never gonna know. But all we can do is sort of present the facts and then kind of predict what's gonna happen after this. So knowing what we know, they made these deals. If we're suspecting that Shanahan made these deals instead of Dubas, does that mean that Dubas is going to be let go or is he going to be extended? Like this is to me is the most interesting part about all
Yeah,
of this
you're right. It's true.
because
We
yeah,
There's
no,
two
no,
ways you
sorry.
can look
You're
at it,
right.
right? You can look at it like he's finally on board and
did he learn?
they're going to move forward together,
Yeah.
or B, you know what? We're going my way, which is Shanahan speaking. And at the end of the year, Kyle Dubas, good luck to you in your next endeavor. That's it.
Well, you know what?
That's basically what's
It
happening.
could be a little bit of both too, right? Like it could be that like Shanahan said to Dubas, "Look, let's do it this way. You're close. Like we've got the core, we've got the talent, which I still think they did. Now, salaries aside, we've already talked about Edmonton not doing well, and they've got Draisaitl at 8.5. So you know what I mean? Sometimes it's like it's not just about those guys. You need to build around them, right? So maybe
Yeah.
Dubas just got tired of hearing you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, and then he finally said, all right, fine. Right? That would probably be the best thing because Dave, you said
Possible
it.
too.
You said it before, Dave. You said it many times where you go, Dubas is not going to learn here. He's going to go to another team, and he's going to
I hate
finally,
that.
yeah, and he's going to finally learn what it takes to win. But he's going to do it for another team because he used the
Yep.
Leafs as that experience, right? But maybe you learn on the job. Maybe you finally
That's why
say,
That's what you hope.
that's why I hope they extend him. I really do. I'd rather keep this guy. Honestly, I'd rather extend him now. He's done the best he can with what he has. Think about what he's done and not really lost any one of value. You can say maybe Sandine, but I don't consider him a valuable part of this team right now. Look what he's added. He's revamped this whole team and made him
Yeah.
a playoff type team, right? So why not extend him? And if they lose,
So
you know what?
the
You have to get rid of some of the core. That's it. That's your job.
Yeah,
You
but
went with this
the
core.
only problem with that though is it's not Shanahan's decision to fire him or not. It's the board's. And right now the board is saying that they require playoff success and they
Yeah.
will not extend anyone unless there's playoff success. That's been told like clear cut. Everyone is
Mean
that's
extend. Extend who? Dubas is the only one.
Dubas
Everyone
will
else
not
is
be
under contract.
extended without playoff success. He will
Well,
not.
but
So
put it
I
this
don't
way:
know,
is it
believe
his
it or
fault
not.
again? But that's why I put on the core four again. I'm saying this guy. It's like your boss giving you everything you want, and you slack off at work. You don't come through. Eventually, it's down. You got to fire the guy. You got to remove this core. If it's not working, it's the core. At the end of the day, what
For
else could he
sure.
do? But what
For
else could
sure.
he do really? He can't really unless he gets a Vasilevsky in net. There's nothing else he can do.
Well, that's what he did make that bed, Dave. So it's not like what else can he do?
I get
He
it,
created
but I'm
that. Yeah,
saying
yeah.
when you think about what he's added everything that people have asked for.
Yeah.
Now go fucking win already.
Listen to Dave support
No, but
Dubas.
it's
This
true,
is
man.
amazing.
How
I
do you
love
not
it.
have
Yeah.
that passion in the dressing room to say, look, this guy's gone through the wall for us. He's gotten all this. He's given up all that. We got to win. We're gonna get this guy fired, and he's a
No,
great
but
boss.
Matthews
He's the
said
type
that
of boss anybody
today.
would want.
You're right.
I didn't hear
Matthews
it. I didn't hear
literally
it.
said that today. He said that Dubas believes in us and he's giving us all this because he trusts in us to go far, and it's on us to repay him. Like he literally said that today. So I'm sure, like you're 100% right, Dave. Like when all the problems first started, what they do? They blame Babcock, right? They put him as the failure, blah blah. So the
Scapegoat. Yeah.
onus went back on to Dubas, and now Dubas does his job finally. So the onus is now back on the players, and where it always should have been to begin with, to be honest with you. But still, now it's going to be all on the players. If they fail, the only thing I could possibly see is if he doesn't address the goaltending and the goaltending lets him down,
Oh shit.
then it'll be back on Dubas.
If Murray gets hurt in the playoffs, I swear to God, it's gonna be a
Yeah,
meltdown.
100%.
A meltdown.
It'll be a meltdown for
Yeah.
sure.
Unless he can't play, I'm telling you that Murray will.
And are
play.
you telling
unless
me?
he literally cannot play, he will.
Are you telling me that Tanner Janot is gonna go and give him a kiss? Like this is
Why
gonna.
not?
Oh yeah, Maroon.
These
Who's
guys
the
are
other
gonna
idiot?
run him over. They're. This is
Perry. Right? Perry took out Tavares last time.
what
So I'm sure he'll have no problem
Perry,
taking out
and
our
then
goalie.
Nick Paul even ran Campbell in Game 7, right? Like,
Yeah.
man, I'm telling you, it's gonna be a war out there. So at least the Leafs are getting the guys that are, they're preparing for battle because it is going to be a battle. But I am
Yep.
worried. You make a good point about the goaltending. Like it is a concern. But they have a few days. They said they're not in on Corpusalo, but maybe they would shore it up in another way. For me, the dream would be to get rid of Kerfoot. If you can get rid of Kerfoot and then replace him with a capable goalie, then I think you're in a better spot. That's just me.
The worst is we have 4 more months of Kerfoot. That's the worst case scenario. Because then he's gone July 1st.
I'm gonna miss bashing that guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe he joins the Habs.
Oh no!
Oh man.
Don't even joke about that. That's not even funny.
A
You
little
never
funny.
know. You need a center.
No chance. No chance. But either way, it's good, man. It's been a lot of excitement today. A lot of news came out at the same time. You guys are going absolutely bonkers on the phones. So it's nice to hear that you have some optimism, right? And it is good. He made the deals. You got to look at it that way, Dave. Like he made the deals,
Oh,
and
but
this is
of
the
course
time
he
for
did.
them to prove it, right? Like it's put up or shut
You-
up now, right?
You ask any fan, or you just ask us. All the moves he made are good moves. I have nothing against anything he's done. Nothing. I'm just wondering if it's too
Sandine
late.
one is kind of like
I love that deal.
It's a good deal.
I know
I just
you.
want
I
to
know
see
you
what he
don't.
does. What does he do with the first? That to
I,
me is going to end it for me.
well, you might trade it. Who knows?
But that's what I'm saying. What
it-
he does with that first, if he trades the first to get something that they need, like a goalie or a power play quarterback, then I'm okay with it because Sandin was not going to play on this team. He's now the seventh defenseman, right?
No, he wasn't going to play.
So for me,
huh.
I'm looking like right now in terms of helping this team in the playoffs. Sandin was not going to help. So
How much
if
does
they move that first to get something that they really need, then I'm okay with it.
how much does
But
Chikrin
if
make right now?
4.5 or something.
Guys, the Leafs can afford this guy.
I know they can. I'm
I
scared.
know, I know,
They
trust
they
me, we
they've got
know.
4.77 million in deadline cap space
Mike,
available.
I'm
So.
telling
But
you,
this,
I have
yeah,
this
go
bad
ahead.
feeling in my
Go-
stomach. It's
It's
coming.
true.
Why is it a
I have
bad?
a bad
Why is it
feeling
a?
in my stomach is coming.
Why is it
But
bad?
think about it. Why has he not been traded yet?
Hall, just get rid of Hall, and if
Well,
you,
Hall's gone. Hall's gone, bro.
No,
Hall's
but
gone.
I think Tomaso's afraid of it being nice. That's what he's
Nice.
afraid of.
That's what I'm scared of.
well,
But what are you gonna do?
I don't think they'll trade nice, but
I don't think so either.
I'd be surprised if they did. I'd be surprised if they did. I think they
He's
got the
got two
first round.
first round picks. He's got a first round this year, first round next year, and then
Those
he
are
could
his
trade a
two.
prospect.
Those are his
Because
two.
you're not getting more than that for this guy.
I
Come on.
think I think that's what he's gonna do. I think you're right. I think he's gonna trade his two first round picks and maybe like a Nick Robertson or something, and then call it a day, and that's it.
Hope so.
Again, I am good with all these moves if Dubas is staying and this whole roster staying as is next year. That's the only thing that's iffy with me. Like if this is an all in and everyone's leaving, holy crap! How do you enjoy the playoffs? How when it's like this is it? You know what I mean?
All these,
It's
I'm
sink or swim.
I'm looking at your cap friendly page, and all I see is in 2023, 2024, it's all UFAs, like just down the board. But you know what? Like it's not. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think that this is a good. This would be the second phase, right? Like the core is still going to be there. They're going to need to renegotiate their contracts. Matthews, we've well documented what needs to happen next with him. That's really a logical time to be doing all this, right? Like they're removing a lot of salary that doesn't need to be there in Kerfoot and stuff like that. So
Well, and they're
I,
showing them that they're willing to add what it takes to win, right? And I think that's the biggest part to getting Matthews to resign is like,
right.
hey, look, we're doing whatever it takes to win now. And Toronto's definitely got a top 5, bottom 6 in the league now, like without a doubt.
And
Oh,
I don't think they're done. Like I
I
said,
don't
like
think so either.
I don't think they're done. I think Kerfoot and Hall are both gone because
man.
right now the Leafs have 10 NHL defensemen, and Hall's not even in the top 6. Like with Shen coming in, he basically you didn't trade a third round pick for Shen to sit in the press box. That makes no sense to me, right? And I think he's going to be in your top 6 now. So now you got Riley Brody, you got McCabe, Shen, you got Gio and Lilligren. That's your top 6 right now. Those guys aren't sitting. Now you got Hall on the out, and now you got the guy from Washington you just brought in, Gunnarsson or Gusterson.
Gustafson, yeah.
Don't
That
you,
guy's gone,
you don't even have to
right?
remember his name. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I think he's going to get traded, or he's just insurance because he's only making like
There's also
800,000.
Connor
So
Timmins too. He's still there.
Timmins is there too, and Jamie Benn, right? So
Jordy
if
Ben,
they
Jordy Ben.
Yeah.
Jordy
Don't
Ben,
get
sorry.
greedy now.
So they got plenty of depth on defense. In terms of forwards, like I said, I don't think they need Kerfoot there. I don't see the need there, and I think $3.5 million is a hell of a lot of money to be on your fourth line. So we'll see. Like he's got options now, so let's see what he can do. So
Well,
far, he's been fantastic.
it's
You
great
got to
to
give him
see.
credit.
It's true. It's great to see these moves because a lot of us were screaming for the bottom 6 to be shaped and built in a different way, right? Like it's
Yeah,
get rid of the softness, get rid of the guys that are like what are they out there to do? Right? Like give them a role. You need a role player out there. You need a guy to go work along the boards, win those battles. You
yep,
can't just be a guy to take a shift. It's not good enough. It really isn't.
yep.
right? You need to
For
have
sure.
an objective out there. So it is nice to
And
see.
and that was the thing that was killing the Leafs. Your bottom six was not providing any goals. You're not providing any physicality. So what exactly are you doing? You're just going out for a skate, right?
Exactly. You better be the difference out there. If
Yeah,
you've got a skill
do
line,
something.
if you got a skill again, if you're gonna call Kerfoot a guy that is a skill guy, and because if you're gonna kind of put him on a chart, where would he be? A skill or a grinder? I'm gonna put him more on the skill side.
Yeah,
And he's going to be playing against a mismatched opponent. You better hope that he dominates that guy, right? Like, if he's a
exactly.
better player, every single time he's on the ice, he should be winning every single battle, right? And you should be dominating in possession, and you should be scoring. You should be outscoring those guys. That's the way the
Yep.
playoffs are made. The playoffs are always down to matchups. It's always about who you're matched up against. And you see those battles over a 7 game series every single shift. Coaches adjust if they see the one guy being exploited or not, right? That's hockey. That's playoffs, right? So, but we've seen it before this time with this Leaf bottom six that never got it done. So I'm thrilled. I'm actually really excited for you guys to see how this turns out because like we talked about last pod, I like the leadership, and I know we were mentioning another leadership on defense. So I'll put Shen in that category. Like I know he didn't come. I know you've mentioned him before, Tomas, and he didn't come up last week when we were talking about that sort of veteran presence or leadership. But I'll put Shen in that category for sure. Right?
Oh
He's
yeah,
he's
for
a
sure.
former Leaf. He knows what it takes. He knows the pressures. He lived through it as an 18-year-old coming up, right? And he had a great rookie year, and then it didn't go so well for him. So he knows exactly what it's like. So he's going to be a pretty good presence again for that. I'm gonna say aside from Marner and Matthews and Nylander, I'm gonna call up my veteran core of Ryan O'Reilly and Giordano and JT. Right? Those are the guys
Yep.
that he's gonna help. Yeah.
I'll take him over Hall any day, twice on Saturdays. Like everything that me and Dave always talk about. Like if someone nails Matthews and everyone else just looks up to the sky, Shannon will not look up to the sky.
Yeah, you
He'll
got
be
it.
putting his fist up your ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's at
But
least
what
someone
took
that will
so
stick up for you.
long? What
I
took
know.
so long? This is the
I know.
frustrating part. It's like you wasted 5 years.
It is
Five.
true. They did waste that, but Dave, it's in the past. All you can do is look
Oh, I
to what
know,
they're
but
doing now, right? So,
that's why it's strange that they did this
but you're
180.
you're
That's
right though. You're right. I mean, it is frustrating because especially when you were yelling about it. But hey, look, all the other Leaf fans that were yelling, Dubas knows what he's doing. Dubas knows what he's doing, right? Like they must look like idiots
Yep.
today, right?
Oh,
Because
100%.
because he changed it literally in front of their faces, right?
Yep.
Saying, "Oh yeah, all those guys that you liked that you were supporting me with, yeah, I'm literally cutting bait on all those bums, right? And we're replacing them with guys
Exactly.
that can play hockey." So,
you know you know what I do like is aside from Shen, who might resign here, who knows? But I think all the defensemen are locked up for the
They
next year or
are.
two. You know what I mean? Like he's already got his
Yep.
D course. That's why I really think they should do an
eh,
extension now and not like if they go with the first round, it's gonna look even worse to extend them then. People say, no, you have to win in the playoffs. Well, fuck, man. What if you go 7 games and you hit 5 posts? You know what I mean? What if Vasilevsky stands on his head the same way with it when who was it? Was it Halak when he stole the pens? Like, what are you gonna do, man?
yeah, it's
They
Like,
true.
what can
literally
you do?
asked Elliot Freeman that question you just said. They said, what happens if they take Tampa to 7 and they just get stoned, but they had a hell of a series? Like, you telling me they're not going to resign them? And Elliot Freeman said, listen, all I know is this comes down not from Shanahan, it comes down from his bosses.
Oh,
And they're saying success has to happen or else there's going to be no extension. And he goes, they had enough and they need success. And I'm like, I don't know. Like those guys are
But
suit and tie people. That's
I
not. They're not
know,
hockey people,
see,
right?
but
They
now
don't care about that
you
shit.
put but now you've put even more pressure on a team that's never won when it counts to win now against one of the best teams in the past 20 years.
Hey,
Like, think
Mikey
about that.
said it. You can't make excuses anymore. You got to win. It's like
I get
Pittsburgh,
it.
and you got to eventually overcome the beast. What are you
This
gonna do?
this is bad, man. Like 5 years ago, it looked like this team was going to be great for the next decade, 15 years, the way they were building prospects and everything, and now that's all gone. It's like it's all in now. It literally is all in. It is.
No, but Dave, why don't you look at it in the positive way? Like, hopefully, like God came down, shone light onto Doofus, and now he's starting to actually learn how to manage a hockey team. And like you said, the defense is there next year. The forwards are pretty much there next year. The chances of O'Reilly resigning are very good. So this team might be okay for the next couple of years for sure. I don't know. Like I think I'm gonna try
Yeah,
to
like
look at it in the
it's
positive way,
you
right?
have to at this point, Dave. I understand what you're saying because there's that risk, right? You're like, how is it going to look? Like, what are you going to do? Those are and he is not extended at this point, so there are unknowns. It is fair. Like, it's like, what do
I
you
would.
do,
Sure.
right?
I hear what you're saying. But I feel more comfortable that
If he
he's
was
extended
extended, I get you.
because you know that because if that happens,
Yeah, I get you.
Matthews
Uh,
is in the most like either way. I think he's gonna stay, but
but
it's
these,
more likely because he loves Dubas,
but all these
and that's the thing. These
consequences of,
guys all love Dubas.
but
That's the
all these things we talked about though, these are consequences of not extending your GM, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't understand this risk. Everything is about like any decision you make comes with a risk and a reward, right? There's always a pro and a con or a consequence, whatever you want to call it, right? And when they did not extend them going into this year, into the season, we're like, we called it at the beginning of the season. We called one of our episodes "Lame Duck GM," right? Like,
Yeah.
how do you make moves knowing that you're not going to be here forever? And we saw the Jays GM do the same thing, right? Where he literally sold the farm for a playoff run, right? It was Anthopoulos, right? And
Yeah.
then the new guys came in and they were like freaking out because he was trading all the prospects, which kind of shone the light on the Jays management in a real bad way, or ownership in a real bad way, because it's like, oh my God, how did you let this happen? You know? And
Yeah.
and that's why we always said that there's no way that MLSE would let that happen. So Shanny is approving all these deals, or anything's funneling through Shanny.
100%.
But at the end of the day, you still need, like, it again, you can't tie a guy's fate on success in the playoffs. It's and maybe that's the problem because he's been so um you know what's the word I'm looking for? Unsuccessful so far in the playoffs. Like, they've not won anything, obviously. So they're kind of like sick and tired of having to answer every single year and look stupid, and all the jokes come out every single April, and they're tired of it. So they kind of said, you know what? You're not getting anything until you win a playoff round, right? But
I
that
know.
Yeah.
it's bad because that might not be the best thing right now, right?
It's true. I mean, he's had a top five team the past few years. They've had the most points in a franchise history.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna
Yeah,
say,
but
okay,
guys, at the end of the day, it all comes down to playoff success,
I get
and
it,
and
but then
you've
fire him.
But
gotta make it happen. That's
But
it.
they
Like
should have just fired him at the end of the last season. Why not either extend him or fire him? You
yeah.
said, what's
that
his
we
lame
all
duck
agree on.
shit?
It
Like
doesn't
either
make sense what
extend
they
him or
do.
fire him. That's it.
Yeah, this in
Like I
between
told my wife,
is
I
really
think
tough.
there's an agreement already in place. I think there's a contract extension already done, and they just announce it after the playoffs. Like I think, how do you keep him around?
Yeah.
Like even Dubis. Like think about it. Imagine you being Dubis, and you're walking around saying, "I could no longer make decisions for this team.
Yeah.
I have to go ask this other
It's
guy,
true.
and
It's true.
because they don't trust me anymore to make my decisions."
Yeah.
Right? Like he's a respectable guy. I think he would have quit if that was the case. I think like we all joke around saying Shanahan's making the
Uh,
calls. I think Duvis is on board, right? He's not being told, okay, Lackey, go make this call, go make this call. No, I think Dubis is on board with it. He's like, okay, guys, this is the direction we should be going. And to me, that's a positive sign, right? Because as a GM, I think he's a great guy. I think everyone loves him. It's just his philosophy was wrong. And if that's coming around, maybe he does. Maybe he sticks around, and maybe he doesn't need to go to another team to learn how to be a GM.
yeah.
Maybe he's
Maybe
going to
he's
learn on the
learned.
fly.
Yeah, and maybe you know what? I tend to lean that way that they are going to extend them only because I saw, and I know this is going to make me sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I believe in this totally because I see Montreal do it all the time. big corporations definitely use the media to create narratives. They do it
For
all
sure.
they do it all the time. How does
Oh
Drager
yeah.
all of a sudden come up with an article that says Kyle Dubas's extension should not be tied to his success in the playoffs? That is done in order to float a ball out
Forward.
there. It is.
Yep,
It's
yep.
100%.
it's there
100%.
to relay the message to people that prepare yourselves for the inevitable of him extending, even if he doesn't win in the playoffs. And that's, I think, what they're going to do. So
I think
I
he's going to extend too. And another thing that could be happening too is that the MLSE knows that he's a loved guy. Like he's a great boss, right? Smart guy. The players respect him and all that. Now, if they go offer him an extension now, maybe the players, I'm not going to say they're going to relax, but they see, okay, he's safe. But whereas this way, there's a little bit more incentive for these guys to win it for him, right? There's even that too that could be playing into the. I don't trust these corporations. They know what they're doing. Never know, man.
yeah, well, I mean that's the best case scenario though, Dave. Like if your best case scenario is to extend Dubas, and it looks like they might do that, and if this is sort of him learning, or at the very least acquiescing to somebody else's wishes to make the team a little bit tougher to see if it works, right? Could be because, like I said, it could just be that, right? It could be him saying, "All right, boss, you know what? We tried it my way for 5 years. I didn't have any success. I'm gonna try your way this year, right?" And
Yeah.
it could be that way. And if it works, then he's gonna look at Shanny and go, "Man, I should have been listening to you for a while, right?" But that's how you learn, right? Like nobody knows everything, right? There's always an element of learning on the job and experience and saying how could I do better next time, right? And that's where
For
I think
sure.
Dubas kind of failed because it feels like Dubas was a know-it-all because his
Yep.
way was like my way is going to work and it's going to work no matter what. And I don't think you can make a formula like that. I think hockey has got an element of unpredictability
You need to adapt,
and
man.
balance.
It's
Yeah,
that simple. Yeah, for sure.
True.
yeah,
It's true.
Really quick, guys. There's reports by Darren Dreger, rumblings tonight that the LA Kings have their interest in a package deal with Columbus that will include both Gavrikov and Korpisalo.
wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. That means Chikrin's out there too. Holy, where's this guy going? Oh my god.
So here's the thing about Chikrin. Bill Armstrong is back to the drawing board on landing spots for Chikrin. The Oilers and the Coyotes were in deep as late this morning before Ken Holland cut bait and reset his focus on Ekholm.
Mm.
So,
That's
like,
good for
he's
the
running out
Leafs,
of dance
guys.
partners.
That's good for the Leafs, guys.
That's very good for the
Yeah,
Leafs. If
man.
LA and is gone
Tomasa,
too,
who said that about Corvusalo?
for who? That the
Drager.
Leafs are going to be out of the
No, no,
L-
Korpisalo?
Drager.
oh, LA
Elliot
King.
Friedman said that.
No, Drager too said it.
Oh, Drager just said the
He
thing
said
about LA and Korpisalo and Gavrikov. Yes. Darren Dreger just posted it 6 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Rumblings tonight around the LA Kings and their interest in a package deal with Columbus that can include Gavrikov and Korpisalo. That's Darren Dreger.
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of these teams, we're gonna have another one this week because I still see a lot of teams that haven't done anything, and I'm not thrilled at all
Pittsburgh.
if I'm one of those teams.
Hello, Calgary.
Pittsburgh. Come on, Pittsburgh. God bless you, Giancarlo. You're the best. You're such a diehard. I love it. I love it. Carolina, I'll throw Carolina into that equation. I don't think
Yeah, Carolina.
even Vegas. I know Vegas got Barbashev, but uh, when I'm looking at some of these other teams, they just
And they have cap
they've
space.
wowed me. Yeah, we mentioned Buffalo a couple times because they have the cap space. They're in a run. They're in a hunt. Like,
They're losing to Columbus tonight.
wouldn't you
And
try to
Ottawa's
do
back.
something about it? You know, like
Ottawa's
Ottawa
back
broke
in
a
it.
record today, the franchise record. They had 4 goals, different goals. Like
oh
they
man,
had a power play goal, penalty shot goal, power play goal, and a even strength.
It still doesn't beat Mario Lemieux though.
and they're beating Detroit. They're spanking Detroit again.
They're killing Detroit.
Wow.
Back-to-back
And
games.
who's in net right now for Ottawa?
You know who
You're
it is.
saying that
Oh, I
because
know
you
who it
already
is, but I
know.
want to hear from
Oh,
what you're about.
Don't tell me it's that.
And what did I say was going to happen by the end of the season?
What's this guy? Is it Mads?
Come on, I
Mads-
know a thing or two.
Mads
Sogard?
Sogard, that's him.
Yeah.
Matt's
Yeah.
Sogard.
Yeah,
Matt's
yeah.
so good.
Well, in all fairness, Talbot's being sit out because they're going to trade him, right?
Yeah,
Otherwise,
well,
he'd be
and
playing too.
Also,
But I know
Chris
you mean. You're
sucks.
right.
But
Hey,
they
I take him over Talbot any day.
It's not like he's so busy though. He made 10 saves. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like
He's 3-0.
yeah,
So, okay, so
teams
you
play
brought
well.
up the Canes, Mike. I think Bertuzzi's gonna go to the Canes. He looks like he fits there.
Or Dallas, maybe.
That's
He's
another
gonna-
one.
I
see-
Another good
I
team that
think they're
hasn't
the
done
Cane,
anything.
but that's me.
How far is Ottawa? Like, are they serious? Like,
Dude, they're only
the last time I saw, they were nowhere
right
close.
there.
no. They're 2 points
Oh, they're
behind
right there.
Detroit. They win tonight. They're tied with Detroit. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
East is still wide open.
Huh.
I mean, you have a couple confirmed teams, but like it's still wide open.
Yeah, like right now, Pittsburgh is hanging on by a thread. They're 1 point in, and then below them is Buffalo with 166 points, and then after that it's Detroit, Florida, Washington, and then potentially Ottawa, all with 64. Well, depending on how
Wow.
tonight goes, Florida might win, so they might go to 66. But
Hmm.
that game's not over yet. But either way, like I still see some teams that haven't done enough. If I'm them, but I mean they may say that it's not us. Like I don't. Carolina for me is one of those teams. I like them, but you can't win when you're, I don't say cheap, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I think getting a
Shit or
Pugliarvi.
get off the pot, guys.
Exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Like, Jesus Christ.
You can't.
Like, what are you doing?
No half
Reward your
measures.
players.
Yeah, I agree with that. So
When
I
you
don't know.
look useless.
I don't
cheap
like that
owner.
team.
Yeah. Like, if anything, that's a good thing because then maybe Rod Brendamore might get sick of that place and say, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere that's willing to spend money and then come to Toronto, right?
I saw that.
Because everything rotates back to us, of course, right?
The hockey world revolves around them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.